it's Coach Pryor here in the coach's classroom, and we're talking about the measure up drill. Now this is very important because we want to make sure that our players have the right distance away from the plate to get started. I see so many times, especially with younger players, they're too far away from the plate, and with the older players, they're too far up on the plate. Now with the younger players, if they're away from the plate, they're not going to have good bat coverage, let alone if they're stepping out or doing anything, they're not going to have good plate coverage. If we got players like in the high school levels and the upper levels where they squeeze the plate, okay, that's nice because you put a little pressure on your pitcher. Good pitcher's just going to throw it hard inside at you or hit you, but you're going to end up having the inside pitch and the down the middle pitch get on you a lot faster, and it gets a lot harder when you push yourself in on that plate to get your hands inside and above the ball. So you're actually doing yourself a little bit of a disservice when you're kind of starting to get there, middle school, high school. Why put that additional pressure on you to get your hands through to hit the ball successfully? So, a good reference point, and you can creep in a little bit from this, but we want all of our kids to measure up. So all they're going to do is we're going to set the bat down at the end of the plate. You can see that my bat is right at the end of the plate, and I'm going to take the length of my bat, and I'm going to basically have my toes behind that distance, and that's where I want to be distance-wise from the plate to have good plate coverage. Now, if I want to creep in just a little bit from here, an inch or two, then that's fine, but ideally this is a good starting point. Okay, so I bend over a little bit, I got about 3/4 of the plate, that's a good reference point. I've got my stance, and then what I'll do is I'll put markers down when I work with kids or we're training, just so they have a reference point to where they put their feet, because otherwise you're going to constantly be saying feet, 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 fix your feet, blah, blah, blah. So just give them a reference point, they'll get there. We get set up, and now we're measured up, and we're going to now measure up to the tee. Okay, and right there measuring up to the tee, I've got my nice power L right here. I've got my bat's nice and square, it's straight, I'm squaring up the ball, I'm in a good point to make contact. That's a good contact point. So make sure that they measure up to the plate. Now, do they need to do this every time they go to the plate during a game? No. They need to just kind of get an awareness of where they're supposed to be. But yeah, in practice and in drill work, have them lay the bat down, put some markers down here so the kids know where to have their feet, so they've got a good reference point in relationship to the plate of where they need to stand. Very, very important, because so many kids get just that basic fundamental wrong, and then it sets them up for future or a failure or lack of performance, because they just aren't really in the right place to get the right plate coverage when they're swinging the bat in a game or in practice or in a drill. So again, that's the measure up drill, making sure that they're measured up regardless of what drills they're running, whether it's live, flips, tee, drive, whatever. Measure up to the plate and have a good relationship to the plate, have good plate coverage. Again, I'm Coach Pryor, and that's the RockStar way.